Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today I want to touch on something that stood out at the end of chapter 7, which reminder, the review for chapter 7 of 2 Blue Vortex will drop sometime tomorrow, which is when the chapter is officially out. My editor is hard at work at the review, has been working on the review for the last couple of days to keep bringing the quality that you guys have been getting for the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex reviews. As long as everything works out on their end with the editing, we'll have the review tomorrow. But today I want to raise a question that I think is one of many that Kawaki fans need to be asking themselves after this latest chapter, which is, has the story set up a future confrontation between Kawaki and Mitsuki? Because being fully transparent, I do think there are seeds that are planted here for something to blossom later on, but it's going to take time for the story to water those seeds before they bear fruit. Going all the way back to Boruto Naruto Next Generations, we knew that there is a real chance for there to be tension between Mitsuki and Kawaki, because as early as Mitsuki and Sarada hearing the circumstances surrounding Boruto dying and the coma seal spreading across his chest, many of us looked at Mitsuki's response and said that the story was placing extra emphasis on Mitsuki poking holes in the Boruto story as he was hearing it in real time, and had Sasuke not come in and bailed Boruto out to speak to him privately, Mitsuki might have gotten the truth out of Boruto, because he was highly skeptical of the story that Boruto was telling him, because he was just using simple logic. Why would Code, someone who needs Boruto alive to feed him to the Ten Tails, try to kill Boruto? Especially when Code had an agreement to not feed Kawaki to the Ten Tails for what they didn't know at the time was an agreement with Ada. They just knew that Code needed Kawaki alive for some other reason. To Mitsuki, it made no sense, and he was acutely aware of it, as was Sarada, that there was more to the story that they weren't being told, which led to that open frustration on the balcony as they watched Boruto and Sasuke speak in private, while they themselves lamented being left out, and they said the quiet part out loud, as they were currently back then. They were too weak to be of any real use to Boruto and company when it came to dealing with things related to the Otsutsuki, and if they wanted to stop being left in the dark, being less susceptible to being lied to because information is being withheld for their protection because they're too weak to get involved, they were going to need to level up and force the hands of Boruto and others. Mitsuki outright stated that the mere thought of someone killing Boruto left him with bloodlust that he was struggling to control. Then we jump ahead almost 10 chapters later, and the story pays it off by having Mitsuki and the others learn the truth that Boruto was killed by Kawaki, and we see Mitsuki as a part of the team that is going to confront Kawaki, and he arrived to see Kawaki attempting to finish the job and kill Boruto all over again, which led to him giving chase until the omnipotence was casted, and we wound up with Mitsuki having his memory switched and believing that Kawaki was the one he was trying to protect and Boruto was the one that Mitsuki wanted to kill. As a result of this, we wound up with Mitsuki during the events of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex stating once again he was struggling to contain his bloodlust, and it was noticeable enough that it bothered Kawaki, and everything came to a head during this Boruto versus Mitsuki battle. But what we saw during the course of the fight is that for Mitsuki, there were signs that he was waking up to the truth, realizing that something wasn't right in his heart and that his memories were off, because Boruto wasn't acting like this dark cloud that he remembered him to be. He was acting like a sunlight shining into the darkness to illuminate a path forward for Mitsuki to walk, and going so far as to tell Mitsuki that Kawaki wasn't the son that he believed, but that Boruto was his son and would always be there for Mitsuki should he feel like he can't shine himself. The seeds got planted right there for Mitsuki to begin questioning Kawaki even further, just as he did in chapter 1, where he asked himself, was Kawaki still the son to his moon? And Mitsuki was shown having real doubts in his mind. I do think the story is setting us up for that confrontation, though it is worth noting that, as we said here on the channel more than once before, and as Boruto tells us in the chapter, omnipotence does not simply go away. It is a pesky power that eventually wins out and forces the person to accept reality of their altered memories, which requires actively realizing that their memory's been altered and acting accordingly, which is what Amato and Sasuke did, with the former realizing that Kawaki was the one who had his daughter's DNA and needed his protection regardless of his memory telling him that it was Boruto that he should be supporting and be loyal to. The latter, Sasuke, still had his doubts despite sensing Momoshiki inside of Boruto, hearing Boruto and Ada explain what happened with omnipotence, seeing Boruto with his headband, seeing the scar on Boruto's face, seeing those whiskers, the blue eyes, the blonde hair, and he still said, man, I don't know, my memories are telling me one thing, but he chose to listen to his daughter, daughter, which that absolutely threw Momoshiki for a loop because Otsutsuki don't understand love, and so he chose to ignore his own memories to abide by the wishes of his daughter. In Mitsuki's mind, he's always going to remember Kawaki as being the kid he went to the academy with, until the story introduces some as of yet revealed reversal to omnipotence, which that just assumes that Momoshiki is wrong and that omnipotence can be reversed, because based on everything we have so far in the story, there is no reversal for it. However, as Ada told us, making new memories and experiences is easier than trying to make people accept their memories can't be trusted. Boruto made a new memory with Mitsuki, one that goes directly against how he remembered him to be, just as Kawaki has been making new memories with Mitsuki as well, being the exact opposite of how Mitsuki remembers him to be. Boruto chose his words very carefully, telling Mitsuki that he was the one who chooses who his son's going to be to Mitsuki's moon, he in this instance being Mitsuki. He's basically telling him you have the power to choose. Kawaki, in his arrogance and disregard for Mitsuki, has been slowly pushing him off, but Mitsuki, due to unwavering loyalty, has stayed right there. However, Mitsuki is no different than a dog in this instant. They can be loyal to their owner and they can put up with abuse, but eventually there comes a time where instinct kicks in and the abused dog bites back after one too many hits from said abusive owner, which is where I do think we're heading with Mitsuki and Kawaki. Kawaki woke up and the first words out of his mouth were basically, "Where was Mitsuki? Because I'm going to beat the hell out of him," because Kawaki was pissed off over getting blindsided by Mitsuki. He's pig-headed enough to not let something like that slide. If Kawaki gets the idea that Mitsuki is now sympathetic to Boruto, that could lead to some more open conflict, and we haven't been seeing the walls close in on Kawaki for no reason. Damon was not written just in the last chapter saying that people will eventually catch on to the fact that Kawaki's been lying this entire time, and Mitsuki heard Boruto say that the 7th Hokage was still alive, and so was his wife, with Boruto even making the mistake of referring to Hinata as his mother. These are not things done by accident. For someone as observant as Mitsuki, even with his memories being altered, the moment that Juro pulls up in the village and he's looking for Naruto, Mitsuki is going to see that as corroborating evidence and know that something isn't right, and it could lead to confrontation, one that Mitsuki himself might not be the one who initiates it. Given what we've seen from Kawaki when it comes to protecting his secret and his plan to have Boruto killed in the name of protecting Naruto, there aren't any links that he's not willing to go to in order to accomplish that goal. Casting omnipotence might have been by accident, but the moment he realized what happened, he didn't hesitate to take advantage of the situation, knowing that a fatigued Boruto wouldn't fight all out against his friends and family, and he'd be easy to kill in that moment. And even if he got away, it would be a matter of time before Boruto wound up dead just by playing the odds. Boruto, despite being hunted down, if it was a Konoha person or somebody that Boruto is close to, would never use his full power, and all it takes is one off-guard moment and Boruto could be had. If he's willing to go that far, can we say with absolute certainty that he wouldn't be willing to cross that line with Mitsuki if he continues to see suspect behavior out of Mitsuki? He's already annoyed with him because he's been hanging around too closely, more than Kawaki would like, and now he's attacked him. Boruto verbally stated to Mitsuki that Naruto and Hinata are alive, which means that Ada would have either seen it or she will be able to see that conversation because of how the Sharingan works. Kawaki's going to want to know what happened with Boruto and Mitsuki, and Ada would have seen that scene. There are going to be questions brought up to a noticeably pissed off Kawaki, and it could lead to Kawaki determining that Mitsuki is more trouble than he's worth in terms of keeping him around. But again, there are some issues with that because it draws unwanted attention to Kawaki. But one thing is clear, we are seeing the walls close in on Kawaki, and it's happening so soon after Damon warned him that his little 3-year lie would get exposed soon. Which also as a reminder, because I still see people bring this up when I mentioned Ada using her Sharingan for Kawaki. Her deal with Boruto ended the moment Boruto came back to the village. She tells us in chapter 80 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, "Until you return to the land of fire, I will not use my Sharingan to look for you or Sasuke until you return." Boruto's return, that deal's done. It really just comes down to how we get a confrontation. Does the powdered keg explode because of something that Kawaki does, or does it explode because Mitsuki presses the issue, or is there a third party like Juro who forces the issue to the table to be addressed? We've seen Mitsuki deal with the memory issues before, albeit on a lower level, when the Mitsuki one-shot manga that Kishimoto drew, which you can actually read by purchasing Boruto Naruto Next Generation's Volume 1, because that's included as a bonus chapter. It showed us that Mitsuki's memories have been altered by Orochimaru, but this time we're dealing with Shinjutsu. But as we saw, Mitsuki comes to his own conclusions and walks his own path in that one shot. It's possible he does a similar thing here, which might seem odd that he attacks the person he believes to be his son to his moon. But again, Boruto's words, to paraphrase, telling Mitsuki that Mitsuki is the one who decides who his son is and who his son is not, they weren't uttered for no reason. And I do think the situation stands the potential of sneaking up on Kawaki as fast as the new Maki plot twist in Jujutsu Kaisen's new chapter, which you can learn about by clicking on the screen here.